Hermine Santruschitz, better known as Miep Gies, was one of the Dutch citizens who hid Anne Frank, her family and 4 other Jews from the Nazis in an annex above Anne's father's business premises during World War II. She was Austrian by birth, but in 1920, at the age of 11, she was taken in as a foster child by a Dutch family to whom she became very attached. Although she was initially only to stay for 6 months, this stay was extended to 1 year because of frail health, after which she chose to remain with them, living the rest of her life in the Netherlands. In 1933 she began working for Otto Frank, a businessman who had moved with his family from Germany to the Netherlands in hopes of sparing his family Nazi persecution because they were Jewish. Gies became a close, trusted friend of the family and was a great support to them during the 2 years they spent in hiding. She retrieved Anne Frank's diary after the family was arrested and kept the papers safe until Otto Frank returned from Auschwitz in 1945, and learned of his younger daughter's death. Together with Alison Leslie Gold Gies authored the book Anne Frank Remembered, the story of the woman who helped to hide the Frank family, first published in 1987. Early life. Born Hermine Santruschitz in Vienna, Gies was transported to Leiden from Vienna in December 1920 to escape the food shortages prevailing in Austria after World War I. The Nienbergs, a working-class family who already had 6 children of their own, took her as their foster daughter, and called her by the diminutive Miep by which she became known. In 1922, she moved with her foster family to Glasstraat 25 in Amsterdam. Gies was an honor student, and described herself as reserved and very independent. After graduating high school, she worked as an accountant and then as a secretary with the Dutch branch of the German firm Obechter. Otto Frank had just relocated from Germany and had been appointed managing director of Obechter's recently expanded Dutch operations. She became a close friend of the Frank family, as did Jan Gies, her longtime fiancé copyright. After refusing to join a Nazi women's association, her passport was invalidated and she was ordered to be deported within 90 days back to Austria. The couple were married quickly on July 16, 1941 so that she could obtain Dutch citizenship and thus evade deportation. Gies' fluency in Dutch and German helped the Frank family assimilate into Dutch society, and she and her husband became regular guests at the Franks' home. Hiding the families, with her husband Jan Gies, and the other Obechter employees, Victor Kugler, Johannes Kleiman, and Bep Voskuil, Miep Gies helped hide Otto and Edith Frank, their daughters Margot and Anne, Herman and his wife Auguste van Pels, their son Peter, and Fritz Pfeffer in several upstairs rooms in the company's office building on Amsterdam's Prinsengracht from July 6, 1942 to August 4, 1944. In an interview, Gies said she was glad to help the families hide because she was extremely concerned about them seeing what was happening to the Jews in Amsterdam. Every day, she saw trucks loaded with Jews heading to the railway station from where the trains left for Nazi concentration camps. She did not tell anyone, not even her own foster parents, about the people in hiding whom she was assisting. When purchasing food for the people in hiding, Gies avoided suspicion in many ways, for example by visiting several different suppliers a day. She never carried more than what one shopping bag could hold or what she could hide under her coat. She kept the workers at Obechter from being suspicious by trying not to enter the hiding place during office hours. Her husband also helped her by providing ration cards which he had obtained illegally. By visiting several grocery shops and markets a day, Gies developed a good feeling for the supply situation. At their apartment, a short bicycle ride away from the secret annex, Gies and her husband, also hid an anti-Nazi university student. The capture on the morning of August 4, 1944, sitting at her desk, Gies looked up and saw a man pointing a gun towards Anne and her sister and said, "Sit down. Don't even flinch." The families had been betrayed and the Graal 1 Courtney Polzey arrested the people hidden at 263 Prinsengracht, as well as Mr. Kugler and Johannes Kleiman. The next day, Gies went to the German police office to try to find them. She offered money to buy their freedom, but did not succeed. Gies and the other helpers could have been executed if they had been caught hiding Jews. However, She was not arrested because the police officer who came to interrogate her was from Vienna, her birth town. Gies remained safe with Jan in Amsterdam throughout the rest of the war. Before the hiding place was emptied by the authorities, Gies retrieved Anne Frank's diaries and saved them in her desk drawer. Once the war was over and it was confirmed that Anne Frank had perished in Bergen-Belsen, Gies gave the collection of papers and notebooks to the sole survivor from the secret annex, Otto Frank. After transcribing sections for his family, his daughter's literary ability became apparent and he arranged for the book's publication in 1947. Gies did not read the diaries before turning them over to Otto, and later remarked that if she would have had to destroy them because the diary contained the names of all 5 of the helpers as well as their black market suppliers. She was persuaded by Otto Frank to read it in its second printing. American Samoa, 1947 came, she and Jan Gies moved to Jekkischrott 65, by the Muur de Plein. Otto Frank moved with them. Honors and awards. In 1994, Gies was awarded the Order of Merit of the Federal Republic of Germany as well as the Wallenberg Medal by the University of Michigan. The following year, Gies received the Yad Vashem Medal. In 1997, she was knighted in the Order of Orange Nassau by Queen Beatrix of the Netherlands. The minor planet 99949 Miep Gies is named in her honor. On July 30, 2009, the Austrian ambassador to the Netherlands, Wolfgang Paul, presented Grand Decoration of Honor for services to the Republic of Austria to Gies at her home. Death. On January 11, 2010, at the age of 100, Miep Gies died due to complications from a fall in a nursing home while in Hoorn, a town 45 kilometers northeast of Amsterdam. She outlived her husband, Jan Gies, by 17 years. References. External links, official website of Miep Gies, Miep Gies at the Internet Movie Database, profile of Miep Gies from the Anne Frank Museum, interview footage of Miep and Henk Gies from the Anne Frank Museum, QuickTime Movie. Miep Gies remembers how she met Anne Frank, image of Miep's wartime identity card, photo of Miep and Henk Gies, Bepvoskuil, Victor Kugler taken in the 1970s, Miep Gies her activity to save Jews' lives during the Holocaust, at Yad Vashem website, Holocaust rescuers bibliography with information and links to books about Miep Gies and other Dutch rescuers, Miep Gies, Daily Telegraph obituary.